Welcome Scorpio to your in-depth monthly forecast for January 2026. I'm going to share some of the standout features of the month to begin with, then on screen the event chart right at the start of January, which provides a backdrop for the whole month. I'll then go through each of the influences in detail to give you a clear picture of what you can expect in terms of your ascendant, sun or the moon. I'm astrologer Patrick Arundell. A very warm welcome. Thank you so much for all your views, interactions, comments and likes. If you've yet to subscribe to the channel, I have shared that over 50% of people who are regular viewers are not subscribers. Please do so now and help the channel to continue to thrive. You can also enjoy your free year 2026 deep dive Scorpio video by seeing the link beneath this one. So as we come into this month, there's a cluster of energy in the sign of Capricorn. The sun is always in Capricorn at the turn of the years, but it's Mars, your traditional ruler, that's very close to the sun along with Venus. And that's the really notable feature of the early parts of this new year. But Pluto, your modern ruler, is also going to be in the picture this month. As ever, we've got 2 lunations, but we've also got 4 Cazimis. That's when the sun and another planetary player are exactly aligned in unison, and the sun amplifies the qualities of that player, and that includes both of your rulers this month. On the 9th it's Mars, and on the 23rd it's Pluto. So I can't wait to share that with you too. If you've yet to order your personal forecast for the year ahead, you can do so, and you'll get 12 full months from when you order it if you order in January. If you order it in December 2025, you'll get the rest of that year 3 and the whole of the following 12 months. You'll also get your life roadmap report, which is truly influential in terms of understanding our life journey. But at the checkout, if you apply the code Astro26, you'll get 50% off. So on the screen now is your event chart, and you can see that cluster of energy in the 3rd house, including the charming Venus and the thrust and urgency of your ruler Mars. So your ideas and the way you express them can be amplified in their impact, because you can use the subtlety of Venus but also the urgency of Mars as well. So if there's something you're really excited about grappling with in the new year, particularly if it is an idea, it is a creative strand, or you just want to be more connected to people, that's something that's going to be very much within your compass. Now the moon's in a part of your chart that has an echo of your sign, the 8th house, but it's in the quick, speedy sign of Gemini, but it is linking very productively to the position of Pluto, your modern ruler. And that's in a part of your chart to do with your deeper world, your emotional environment. And that may be what you're thinking about, particularly if you're discussing remodeling your home in some ways, or going through the process of renting or buying one, then that could be what that conversation is going to be very much about. But the ruler of conversations, Mercury, is actually afflicted at the start of this month, not just because it's in detriment in the sign of Sagittarius, for you very much about everyday money, it's in a square with Neptune and also Saturn. If your ideas that would come from that cluster of energy in Capricorn are of a more speculative nature and to do with perhaps trying to earn more money in the new year, totally understandably, Mercury's saying in that connection to Neptune and Saturn, it's really important that you do your research and don't rush the process. You could have that fortune, but do take your time to really understand what's what. But Jupiter, the planet of luck, is in a very expansive part of your chart, and it is forging a pretty good angle to Saturn, which means that you should be able to balance your pragmatism with your more optimistic plans that you have in a pretty functional way. So as we come into the month, later on the 1st, Mercury plays catch up with the posse in Capricorn and moves there. Mercury in Capricorn is very businesslike. Mercury can be about marketing, So if you have got a product you want to sell, or you've got an idea that's really igniting your passion, Mercury moving on from that square to Neptune and Saturn will help you with that, but perhaps not straight away. It needs to escape their clutches and advance into Capricorn a little more. But Chiron, very much to do with our vulnerabilities, has been rewinding, and part of your situation to do with your physical well-being. If you haven't felt quite as good as you might have done over the last 5 months, not a complete surprise, but actually Chiron forges a square to Jupiter at the start of this month, and it's just saying if you are going to be more conscientious or try to be more proactive in terms of your physical exercise or diet, just don't try to do too much too quickly. Now, we also have a full moon on the 3rd in its home sign of Cancer, so the moon really is blessed here. But it is in an opposition with your traditional ruler of Mars, and that can create quite a lot of tension. The moon's about being receptive and sensitive, and Mars is about that sense of urgency. If you do find yourself in the following 2 weeks travelling anywhere, particularly on a short journey, do buckle up, don't rush things. Mars can make us perhaps a little impatient, and the moon in the 9th house can certainly give us a desire to have a wider experience and change things up, and that could be part of that sense of urgency that you have. But what we do have on the 6th is the first of those Cazimis, and it's Venus. Venus amplified by the Sun, as it is at the start of the year. In modern astrology, they're in a conjunction. In traditional, that would be seen as a combustion and not so positive. But I think that Venus being so close to the Sun means that the way you express yourself can just seem to chime with others that much more effectively, not just in January, but potentially throughout the year. But for sure, when Venus and the Sun are totally unified, that ability to convey messages skillfully does get a big lift. But it's also great if you're wanting to be flirty with someone. And in fact, with Venus and Mars coming into an exact conjunction on the 8th, that could be a key moment if you are looking to forge a connection. But Jupiter and Mars come into an opposition at this part of the month, and that's saying to you, if you are wanting to impress someone, don't try too hard, but your enthusiasm may be very hard to resist, which in itself is quite wonderful. But it's on the 9th we get the second Cazimi. This time it's your ruler Mars, and that sense of thrust that comes from Mars very much to the fore. If you have been thinking about a new mode of transport, this can be a really important part of the month, but don't rush any decision. Do take your time. If you are someone who is up for internet dating, that also can be something that enters your thinking at this particular moment. But then we have the planets in Capricorn edging forwards, and they do start to forge a much more productive link to Saturn and Neptune, but also to Uranus in your sector of relating. I think the new moon, which occurs on the 18th, could coincide in the following 2 weeks with some very important conversations. But it doesn't necessarily have to be in a romantic context. It could be around a contract. It could be around expressing your creativity or flair. But you can have real impact. Don't underestimate the amount of gravitas that you can have on the back of that new moon. But with Venus moving on the 17th into the sign of Aquarius, and it is going to be joined by the Sun, Mercury and Mars before the end of this month, there is a big shift. And this is a shift that your modern ruler Pluto has been just gently but very powerfully arousing within your consciousness over the last couple of years about what you need from your home and emotional life. And that becomes the theme much more as we enter the last 10 days of the month. Now, the Mercury Cazimi on the 21st is terrific if you are someone who wants to use your mind, but use your mind in relation to where you live. So it could be working from home, whether it is on a flexible basis, starting a small enterprise, or if you have an ongoing business, you can remodel your home in some kind of effective way with the energy of Mercury and the Sun. your thinking can be quick, and if there are things that need to be discussed of a more personal or tender nature around the family, this could be a time of the month when you feel a very strong desire to say how you feel. But just be aware that with Mars moving into Aquarius and the Sun forging a cazimi with Pluto also on the 23rd, a little bit of impatience can creep in if you feel that someone's not really being very attuned to what you want and are saying. Mars in the 4th house can be a bit reactive, a bit grumpy, to be honest, a little bit up and down as far as our emotions are concerned. Pluto, of course, can be transforming, but it also can be the planet which hides things. Something around a family issue which has been painful could come up, and you could articulate it in a way that another person may find challenging, but it's all part of your journey to be much more authentic about who you are, because for sure Scorpio people can be quite blunt, very observational. Sometimes people can find Scorpios somewhat confrontational, but underneath that you can be very private about your deeper world. You may be surprised at the end of this month that you are going to ventilate some very tender issues that may have been kept hidden for a very long time. But if that does happen, I think it can be extremely cathartic for you and help you to release energies that maybe have been locked inside you in quite a negative or even resentful or hurtful way to you for some time. So if you do say to someone how you truly feel, even if someone you're very fond of and they don't find it easy, just go with this, because Pluto is an irresistible force. It is about transformation. The same goes if you do want to physically change where you're living. If there is that space that's never quite worked for you, if you find yourself with a lump hammer or tearing doors down with your bare hands, that's the force and drive of Mars and Pluto, your two rulers, coming together in an exact conjunction on the 27th. And that is going to be a very, very powerful event for you personally. Your drive and passion can be absolutely fantastic, and that can be something that you can use in a very productive way. But just know you're much less likely to be quite so sensitive to the needs of others as this month comes to a close, and more in need of saying how you truly feel, particularly if it is something that has been to do with a past hurt or injustice that you've kept locked deep inside you for far too long. If you've yet to order your personal forecast for the year ahead, you can do so, and you'll get 12 full months from when you order it if you order in January. If you order it in December 2025, you'll get the rest of that year 3 and the whole of the following 12 months. You'll also get your life roadmap report, which is truly influential in terms of understanding our life journey. But at the checkout, if you apply the code ASTRO26, you'll get 50% off. All the best and goodbye.